welcome to What Are You Reading? A podcast with the Public Library of Mount Vernon in Knox County. I'm Christy.
And I'm Katie.
And today we're going to be discussing Michael Crichton's book, Pirate Latitudes. Our theme this year for the summer reading program is Ocean of Possibilities. And Katie and I were kind of like racking our brains trying to think up something that would kind of fit that theme. And at first, my brain automatically went to sharks. So I was like, ooh, Jaws, ooh, The Meg, you know. And Katie and I were talking about it, and Katie's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's like, no, I've had nightmares.
Yeah.
Just watching the movie, and obviously the books are always better than the movies. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like, no.
Yeah, the books go even like deeper dive into terror. So yeah, you don't want that. And last year the theme was Tales and Tales, and we did the graphic novel version of Moby Dick, which was amazing. So Katie was kind of like just riffing on that idea and was like, pirates? And I was like, ooh, pirates. Mm-hmm. So we're big fans around here of pirate stories in general. And I honestly wasn't aware that Michael Crichton had written a book about pirates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was the last book he ever wrote. It was actually published posthumously, so it was one of those things that we saw some of the reviews, and the reviews weren't necessarily good, but it is the least Michael Crichton book that I have read. I have read the Jurassic Park series, and so yeah, that supernatural science-y thing is not in here. There's a little bit of science in it, but mostly action adventure, kind of historical fiction.
Yeah. I would totally agree with that, because I, like we said, when we were reading reviews and stuff, there was actually a quote, I've got it here, from Alan Schuss from NPR, and he mentioned that though reviewers have compared Crichton's novel to Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, the Historical Novel Society notes Crichton's portrayal of Port Royal and its inhabitants is far more grounded in reality than Disney's portrayal. Crichton does not gloss over the slavery, addiction, and brutality of colonial Jamaica, nor does he endow his characters with abilities beyond their training or station in life.
Yeah.
And I would totally agree with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jack Sparrow is not in this book.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We, as we were kind of reading, we both got to a point, 28 pages in, that has, and I will say like some trigger warnings on this for SA, sexual assault, things like that, that was a little bit tough to read through. Wasn't overly detailed, anything like that, but it definitely was not that Disney pretty picture that we're used to.
Yeah, so there were some times. We're actually doing a book giveaway of Pirate Latitudes. So we had already bought the books and had started reading, and we're like, oh my goodness, what have we done?
Yeah, absolutely. There was like a fear moment. We're like, oh.
It's like people are going to hate us. It's going to be terrible. But I will say this, that once the action adventure actually starts, it's very good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and once, like, knowing what we know now, that this is based in realism, Crichton doesn't shy away from some really, intense topics. And like we mentioned, things that actually affected people at this time. So we have very, like, detailed descriptions of what life was like on a pirate ship, for real. What living with gout was like. What the, like, toilet routine of someone living in, the 1600s would have been like. So it was a very, like, sobering thing. But once I realized that, hey, like you mentioned, this is almost historical fiction, I'm reading a swashbuckling tale. This is exciting. There's some really cool stuff in here. There's a little bit of science fiction. We do have maybe some sea monsters that show up. Once I got into that groove, it was a really fun ride, and there are parts where you don't want to put it down. Some of these battles, ocean battles, exciting.
Yep. And we did get to learn a few things because it really should be called Privateer Latitudes.
Yes.
Which basically is just government-sanctioned piracy.
Mm-hmm.
The governor, the main point of the story is the governor has approached Hunter, who is our main character, and said, there's this galleon with a whole bunch of money in it, and I want you to go steal it.
Mm-hmm.
Steal it from the Spanish. So that's something. So it is a little bit of a slow burn at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
Because he handpicks the people who are going to be in his crew,
Mm-hmm.
And we get to know way more than we need to about them. The only frustration that I had in that was everybody has 3 names.
Yeah.
They have their real name, they have their nickname,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have like a descriptive name.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and there is a couple of the descriptive names are a little cringy.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to focus on this was the 1600s,
Yeah.
not as cringy then,
Mm-hmm.
but
yeah, it is very like time appropriate.
mhm.
There's those great scenes where you're building that cast of characters, you're meeting your crew, which did definitely give those throwbacks to like movies that we have seen with pirates, where you're getting your ragtag team together, to do this almost seemingly impossible task, because this galleon is heavily guarded by the Spanish.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily a suicide mission, but there are some people around town that are like, oh, you guys are going to die. Like, what are you even doing?
Yeah, because the galleon is in this fortress that is impenetrable. So they even had to craft their own tools.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't just go with the regular grappling hooks. They had to make like special ones that folded. So and the terrain is different because it's mountains and desert.
Yeah, mountains, desert, rainforesty, like a
just,
jungle.
Just a little bit of everything is there.
You've got encounters with wild, vicious animals that we have to fight with. You really get all of it. We've got swords, we've got animals, we've got ocean monsters, we have huge cannons. We have like kind of spy stuff, right? With like, trying to break into this fortress. And really, even though, as I mentioned earlier, it's very much based more in reality, we do have some characters like Hunter, our privateer. And there is a French pirate as well that has exceptional vision. So they're able to see in situations that some others might not, which gets us out of a couple sticky situations as well.
I loved that part. And also female pirate.
Yes.
So
she
yeah, and they call her the Eyes, except using the French. So she's the one that hangs out in the crow's nest and spies everything. And I love the description. That's where like the little bit of science gets in there, because she talks about how the different colors of the water show like how shallow it is, or if you're gonna, I don't know, hit a reef or something like that. And it's like, just because the water is dark does not mean you are in deep water.
Absolutely. It was really interesting to see him throw those little tidbits of science throughout when we're doing like the specialty tools. There'd be an explanation of how those worked, her vision, the actual battles themselves that are taking place on these giant ships. Very descriptive, very Michael Crichton. So that those parts I could kind of see him in this a lot. I had only previously read Timeline, so I did have sort of an idea of his writing, but this did catch me off guard at first. I think mostly just because Disney Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just can't help but think Pirates of the Caribbean, and then
and there are a few funny parts in this book.
Yeah.
So you might glimpse a little Jack Sparrow.
Absolutely.
So, which I think you read somewhere that Disney actually used some of this as inspiration for some of the Pirates movies.
Yeah, later on in the franchise, because this did, I think we discovered this came out after the first movie, but did inspire some of the later stories in the franchise. And I could definitely see that, because we're in the same setting. We're dealing with Spanish treasure, so there are definitely some similarities there. And like you said, overall, at the end of the day, we did end up enjoying it. It is a swashbuckling ride. It's an adventure. So we definitely recommend picking it up. And like Katie said earlier, starting today, so this is going live on June 27th, we are going to be giving away copies of this book here at the main branch of the Public Library of Mount Vernon in Knox County, here in Mount Vernon. So just swing by, pick up a beautiful paperback copy that even has a nice little map in the front of it. So this is an awesome edition. And, read along with us, stop back by here, see if you agree with us. And, we just enjoyed it. So we hope you do too. Well, thank you guys again for joining us for another edition of What Are You Reading? And we will catch you next month. Bye.
Bye.